Good morning, Shabanaji. Good morning to Vasanji and all the other listeners. And thank you once again for having me on the uh, platform, Shabanaji, to Mavin, to you, to Nupur ma'am. And what a great way, I absolutely love the fact that you've given me a topic which is, I think, very intrinsic to everyone, food. So either you eat food, you eat less food, you eat a lot of food, you eat variety of food. The fact of the matter is food is extremely important and for varied reasons for everyone. So we said, okay, let's on a Monday morning kind of talk about food and start a whole week on a very different journey. So I'm going to talk today about food, and the reason I am talking about food and you invited me to talk on food is because uh, I love cooking. I am a foodie, though. I've constrained my uh, जो इंद्रियां होती हैं उसको कंस्ट्रेन करी हुई हैं बड़े सालों से. आई एम वेरी conscious and very strict about what I eat, but I do indulge from time to time on my taste buds. So I said, why not talk about this and blend that in from a fitness perspective, from a food perspective, lifestyle perspective, and see how it, kind of eventually impacts your daily life. And, even how it has a huge impact on from a business perspective. So, it will be something great to talk about. And my talk is going to be in the realm of my own experience. What works for me again, and then I always make that disclaimer because I'm not a, you know an authority to speak on. I'm not a chef. I'm not. So I'm just going to talk about my own experiences, about what I have learned in life out of my own life. And if it makes sense to people, great. Else they're free to kind of experiment and explore their own journey. So that's how I would take it up. So, uh, Shabanaji, when you mentioned about food, I said, okay, this is like a topic which is a maze, and how do I start and where do I begin? And I'll probably take up the fact that in my family, uh, it's the male members who are very uh, dominant on the food front. Whether it's buying the fresh produce, whether it's vegetarian, non-vegetarian, it's the cooking, the dishes, everything. So I think there is that fact in our houses. It's predominantly done by my father. It's done by me, and because I'm someone who's been heavily into fitness, so the food that gets laid on the table and what my family members eat does have a lot of bearing in terms of my own uh, thought process in terms of what needs to be eaten, what needs to be on their plate, and the timing of the food. Uh, so that's one part. And then typically we our food day in our household is the Sunday. So there is the proper breakfast, there is the proper lunch, and then there is the proper dinner. And but over a period of time, we've said, okay, you can have your paranthas, you can have your pancakes, but being overindulgent is something that we avoid. uh, 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 for us, food is a very intrinsic part, and I treat food as the fact that you're living your life with a fundamental perspective of filling your tummy to survive. So for me, food is about survival. Food is about energy, and food is definitely about taste. But I've made food about taste as the least of the priority, though it is extremely important because you need food which is tasty. Uh, but as we see in our social media era, and we see a lot of people putting in tubes, reels about cooking, about food. I see around me that while there is a whole spurt in society about getting healthy, on the same at the same time, the amount of processed and unhealthy food which is actually being dished out in the garb of flavor, to add flavor, you're adding more cream, you're adding more butter, without any kind of thought process to what that kind of food, while it's very nice on your taste, but it does taste good, but the kind of health problems it's creating. and it would create over a period of time as you grow up, is something that I'm realizing people are not even concerned. They're not even thinking about it. Uh, the other factor with food that I see is a lot of people have kind of, uh, I would say, taken themselves off from the food. When I say taken themselves off from the food, what I mean to say is people have taken away because of for varied reasons, and maybe paucity of time and the fact that people don't want to get into the kitchen. I don't see that connection people have with food directly, So whether it's a takeout, whether it's ordering into the house, uh, so it's more to do with convenience and the taste. And as in one of the sessions we had talked about, people have totally disconnected from the food that they eat. So it's just about gobbling up the food, which you feel is nice and palatable, and is making it's giving you a kick on your senses, but you are not connecting with your food. You're not getting into the kitchen. You're not chopping your veggies or your non-veg on your own. You're not connecting in terms of making the food and deciding what is the kind of food that needs to go into my body. It doesn't necessarily need to be a Michelin star chef tasting food. It needs to be reasonably palatable and well cooked. And but then you are in control of your macros. You're in control of what is going into your body. So, and when I say this, is because this is also very integral and very important as part of the larger perspective of the topic that we talk about food. It's the cooking. It's about how you treat your food. It's about your relationship with your food. End of the day, when we go out in the morning to earn our bread, and as we say, we earn our bread. The fact of the matter is, we're earning that money primarily because we want to keep ourselves, energetic, and the energy comes from food. But at the same time, while we're doing that in our daily chores and our running around to make money, we're also at the other part, in a large way, disconnecting from our food. So we're not spending that time. And as I said, for good, bad, or ugly, there are genuinely valid reasons. At times, you don't have time in the morning, you don't have time in the evening, you're too tired to cook, or not many people still can have the luxury of probably having a cook at home who can dish out some good meal for you. Uh, so you order in, you order out, and for me, uh, that's that's uh, in my sense, it's food in the true in the parlance of being food, but it's not really food for me. For me, the food is what is coming out of my own kitchen hot onto my dining table, and I'm consuming it there and there, because that has a different aspect to my and treatment to my body, to my health, to my mindset, to my way of thinking. And I truly believe uh, the way you treat your body, uh, the way you treat your food is the way you're treating your body, is the way you're treating your thought process, because it's pretty interconnected. Uh, so for me, that part of the aspect on food is extremely important. Uh, Coming to the point where, I think, Shivanaji, you mentioned that you got a feeler that I cook well. So uh, yes, I do cook well. I like cooking for my dad. I like cooking for my, family. Each member in the family has a different palate. So I invent my own dishes. I do look up. I wanted to become a chef one time in my life, but life had different perspectives. It had to take me into real estate and defense business. So my cooking has now uh, is pretty much to my own kitchen, and but my endeavor of life, the way I treat life is where when I go in, I give my 100%. So when I'm in the kitchen, whenever I get my time to cook for my family, uh, I like to be as perfect in my cooking, because that's a joyous moment you're having that. So I treat that aspect of cooking also very, very seriously, man. It's I enjoy it. I quite enjoy it. So uh, there are many times I would be getting into the kitchen, and I don't know what to do. Then I'll cook up a dish, and it probably comes naturally to me. I'll think about something, and I'll put the dish together. So I do a lot of Indian food. I do. My dad loves dal makhani or dal bukhara, as they say. So I do that. I try to keep that dal bukhara as less fatty and as less in terms of the ingredients which are not going to cause us to harm inside the body, but yet continue to see that I can get the right taste in it. Uh, I experiment a lot with my, eggs. So I do a lot of dishes which are fusion with the egg, because it's not always easy to keep eating an omelette or a boiled egg or just a burji. So I find ways to make that exciting. I do a lot of Italian cooking. I like doing pasta. My daughter loves pasta. My son at time wants to be indulgent on a butter chicken, so I try doing that. But that's, again, it's not going to happen every week or every 15 days. That indulgence is allowed once a month, so that you can satisfy your palate and you can satisfy your urge to eat that kind of food. Unless and until you're extremely laborious and you're burning a lot of calories. So I do that a lot. Uh, my general I don't like going, as I said, I don't like going out too much to the restaurant once in a while. We like cooking at home. And as I said again, cooking at home, many of us many of you who are listening will say, listen, maybe, uh, our timelines don't allow us, our schedule doesn't allow us. Uh, I beg to differ. I think, there is always uh, time one can take out for yourself and your family members. It needn't be every day, it needn't be 6 days a week, but you surely can take out once or twice a week where you can cook your meal, or that burden can be shared within the family members, between the wife, the husband. And if your kids are growing up, there is no harm in inculcating that habit within the kids, that probably they need to help out in the kitchen, so they, not only is that they're connecting with their food, they're also getting a little self-reliant in terms of their ability to cook their own food. That's irrespective how much money you have and whether you can afford a house help, you can afford cooks. It's always good to be self-reliant, even if you have the luxuries of life and you have the luxury of having people dish out meals for you. I mean, that luxury is there for me and for my family, but we still ensure that we cook. And it's not something that we do once in a while. We do it pretty much every day. So if I'm not cooking, then my father is. If my father isn't, I am. My daughter's taken to it, so she can. My son is also self-reliant. He's able to cook. At least if he's hungry, he can cook whatever uh, can make him satisfy his hunger. So we're pretty self-reliant as a family in that, and that's something that I always say, that listen, have that direct connect with your food. Get into the kitchen. It's not all that bad. It's not all that I see a lot of young people. They find that we're not cut out for the kitchen. There is a sense of like, as if, when you tell somebody to get into the kitchen to cook, they feel it's demeaning to be in the kitchen. Why should I cook? Or well, it's your food, it's your own body. There's no harm in cooking. There is no ego in not cooking in it. I mean, end of the day, you're cooking it for yourself, and if you can find joy in actually, for us, when we have people home. Uh, I prefer to cook it, because the joy of seeing the people eat your meal that's been cooked by you, and if it's come out well, that gives you happiness. So it has to come out from internally. So I think food is not only great in terms of I mean, the fact that we need energy. Food is also a very, very potent medium of a melting point of bonding with people. That's why you invite people home. uh, uh, Meal, when you share a meal, you're sharing a lot more than a meal. You're sharing a very innermost part of yourself, your soul. So if I spiritually say, it's actually uh, it's very giving. So if you start thinking from that perspective, I think the perspective about how you treat food, how you would want to have your relationship with food would, to a large extent, start changing. Uh, and as I said, we're living in times where either we look down upon our own cooking, or we feel that it's just uh, too much of a waste of a time, waste of your one's own uh, talent. So the moment you start thinking that, you're bringing a lot of ego, you're bringing a lot of negativity to that, and then I mean, I've seen within my own friend circle, uh, the ladies don't want to, they have careers, so they feel that it's just not right for a woman to be in the kitchen, or the man is too tired, or he's too busy. He says, listen, I can't. Now, in those kind of households, I've seen that the kids just have the number of for Zomato or anyone else, and they're just ordering in food, and eating that kind of food which is coming from the restaurant, again, for me, is not really the food. I mean, it is food because you are eating food, but it's not really food, if you understand what I'm trying to say. I mean, it's unhealthy. Uh, there is no bonding happening over there. You're just ordering, and everybody's on their own take. Uh, so there is no family bonding, there is no community bonding. A lot of times, even today, when there are smaller get-togethers in the family, people have now stopped even with the idea of cooking at home. They will do a small catering, or they will have other people come out and cater out the food. So I agree, times are changing, and one has to be with it. Once in a while, we can understand with paucity of time, but that relationship with food is totally getting lost. It's become very, very superficial and artificial, as I believe. Uh, there are very few people who are really left who enjoy the the culinary journey, who want to explore that from the perspective of bonding, with the perspective of connecting with food. So that's, I think, my quick take on it. Any questions anyone has on a very generic topic like this, I'd be more than happy to answer and take that discussion in that direction. Shabana ji.
Yeah, thank you, Harmit, for sharing these things. And I agree, and we can totally relate to what you are sharing. Uh, so, for example, I like in my home, I can see my father is more like you, like he would like to cook,
Yeah.
and he understand the bonding over food. But if you'll ask me, I would I would I don't enjoy cooking so much. Means I do the basic necessity. So if I'm alone, I have to cook everything. Then
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
myself, I would do that. But
Yeah.
what I'm also learning, yesterday we had a festival, so we had to cook something. So what I'm also learning, that cooking food require a lot of patience, and I think I lack the patience. It's not that I don't want, but you want quick fix. You go and something, you do, it should come out very fast. But if you are cooking something more elaborate, then it takes a lot of time and patience. More than time, it is a patience that we lack, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Also,
And you rightly said it, and that's what I said. The food, the whole idea of how you treat food has a huge impact on yourself as as a person that you are, your personality. It shapes it up. And you rightly, as you said, you require a lot of patience. You need to control your uh, when you're in the kitchen, the patience, the way that you're going about things. You got to be meticulous. For example, if it totally depends on the food that you're making. ज्यादा आप प्याज को भून दोगे तो प्रॉब्लम है, कम भुनोगे तो प्रॉब्लम है, कहीं जगह पे आपने ऐसे करना है, कहीं जगह पे नमक बाद में डालना है. So it's a science. It's a science, and what it does is, and I've realized that part, what I do in the kitchen, is extremely beneficial to me as a person when I take that personality into my business, or I take it to my sporting activity, to my fitness. Uh, the nuance of who I am, the desire to be just perfect in doing whatever I'm doing, or keep exploring my way to finding, the right. It's always the continuous journey to find uh, solutions which are more innovative solutions, or things which take you towards perfection, while understanding there is no perfection. But you keep the journey, and that journey helps you keep innovating, finding new ways. And you know, a very small example, there'll be times in the kitchen the dish is just getting, you know, you've done something with in the kitchen, or something has happened where the dish has gone wrong, and then, you know, you don't have the luxury of time to fix it, so you have to come out within seconds or minutes to fix that dish. And if you realize in life, uh, life is pretty much the same. You when you are on your daily basis, something comes up and something is not in line with what is expect out in your daily this thing. You do not have the luxury of being impatient. You do not have the luxury of losing your emotion. I mean, a lot of people do, but you still need to have the mental capacity balance to find the solution to fix that, or find a solution to that. So I would draw parallels that a lot in the kitchen what you do, and as you rightly said, if you can get the patience, you can get that temperament, it actually goes a long way in shaping the person that you are. And it works wonderfully well in different facets of your life, in different roles that you play, whether it's the role of a parent, whether it's a role of a student, whether it's a role of a leader. The certain nuances that I think the kitchen or cooking brings in, you will find those parallels in a lot of the other areas that you play your part in life. So you're right, Shabana ji, on that part. Anyone else has any questions, or a suggestion or something that we can deliberate on?
Yeah, good morning. I was just
Morning,
curious
ma'am.
about the different types of eggs because I've tried so many and nothing else comes out. Just and that. So I was wondering, what could you do with eggs that he's talking about?
Okay, I'll give you a recipe today. That's getting me into giving you a recipe. So, Samina ji, I
That
have,
would
you
be
know, if you have,
awesome.
yeah, so if you have a, let's say, an OTG or a, you know, oven at home, that would
Mm,
be great. So what I do and I've started doing now is
mhm,
I would cut my onions. I'll take some veggies and everything, and I'll take you know, sliced maybe overnight cooked chicken. So I make a pot puree of that, and
mm,
I will boil the tomatoes. Uska फिर puree करा. So
mm,
saute the veggies and everything. Put some oregano. Put everything into it,
mm,
and beat up your eggs. And so, you know, the chicken and everything is done. Put
mm,
in the puree. उसके अंदर फिर आप ना जो बीटन अप एग है,
mm,
आप उसको डाल दीजिए, और ज्यादा हल्की सी आंच पे थोड़ी सेकंड पे कुक कीजिए. कुक
mm,
करने के बाद पुट इट इनटू अ डिश.
mm,
हाई बेसिल ले लीजिए, थोड़ा सा सीजनिंग ले लीजिए, एंड पुट इट इनटू द माइक्रोवेव. एंड आई व्हाट आई डू इज आई आल्सो पुट इन आई मेक सो आई कट इन द पोटैटो, जो छोटे वाले नहीं आते आलू, उनको काट के with the skin, I
mm,
roast them first in the oven, and then I put that back into that dish. Now I put it into the baking this thing, add a little bit of cheese, so I get a beautiful egg, which is, आप उसको खोलोगे तो आपको लगेगा आप लजानिया खा रहे हैं.
ah,
So you'll have a tomato base with it, you will have the egg in it, you will have all the veggies. So what I do on a Sunday, I do that because, you know, that's the only way to hide the veggies in the garb of egg and chicken and feed it into my kids' mouth. वो ना
ah,
वेजिटेरियन फूड से भागते हैं, तो वो ना जब अंडे के अंदर चला जाता है तो उनको पता नहीं चलता, टेस्ट इट गेट्स मर्ज्ड, but it doesn't feel like an egg, but yet it is there. And if you want to add a little more this thing, तो जब आप OTG में उसको डालते हैं,
mm,
you can break two eggs once it's more or less on the verge of getting done. आप दो अंडे ऊपर से तोड़ के डाल दीजिए फॉर द सेक ऑफ द शो and the taste. So you'll have like a fried egg on top, so you can actually dip into that with the this thing. So that is one way of doing it, and you can try that out. It really turns out well, and add whatever you want, ingredients you want in it. So
mm,
add a little bit of masala into it, oregano, chili flakes, and all, and it really comes out very well. If you
mm,
want to have it with bread, you can have it with bread. In fact, it's something great to have with boiled rice. So अगर आपके पास rice है, आप ये
mm,
उसको निकाल के डालोगे, then you'll have the veggies, the egg and chicken. You can actually dip it with the rice and eat it. You can eat it with, if you feel like being a little more indulgent and have a little unhealthy part going with, you can have it with nachos too. So,
Mm.
that base and that dish actually goes very well. And add a little bit of cheese on that. So
Mm.
it's pretty, I would say, uh, it's a recipe which has got its protein, it's got its carbs, it has got its fibers and a little bit of milk fat. So
Mm.
it's a very balanced diet,
Mm.
and it's something that you can consume. So if you don't want to put in the chicken, add in a broccoli or a mushroom with it. You want to add a little bit of, mix your proteins in it, add chicken.
Mm.
Otherwise, just go ahead and fill it up with the veggies that you like, and that's a great way having veggies. And you're not going overboard in terms of cooking your veggies, because the moment you go overboard in cooking your veggies, you tend to lose a lot of nutrients in your veggies. तो क्योंकि हम फिर उसको जब ऑयल में उसको भुनना शुरू कर देते हैं, तो उसकी ना आधी तो न्यूट्रिएंट्स वहीं खत्म हो जाते हैं.
Mm.
So this is one way you can try it out, and you like it, then I'll probably figure out something else in my head, and I'll run that through you.
I think I should call you once a week. That's my recipe. What I was saying. Yeah, because I looked into YouTube also, and I tried to this thing on my own also experiment, and I just did a Spanish omelette, for my daughter.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, but then I don't like it much. She likes it, so I make for her and give it to her.
No,
But
so you try doing this. इसमें
uh,
आपको ना पहले तो, because the tomato base, it will just, and if you want to level up it a little more, take some penne pasta, boil it, add the penne to it. So you'll have the pasta also as a part of it. But it's not the creaminess or the of the dish is actually the tomato puree and the
and cheese.
ande ki bhurji. So you'll have everything going for it. So I tend to do that. And if you want to add a little sweetness to it, or you want to change the flavor quotient to it, टोमेटो पेस्ट थोड़ी सी कम कर दीजिए, और उसमें थोड़ी कोकोनट मिल्क डाल दीजिए, क्रीम.
Hmm.
तो वो थोड़ा सा कोकोनट वाला आपको आ जाएगा. इफ यू वांट टू जस्ट चेंज द, if you get bored with the tomato base or this thing, add a little bit of coconut, this thing, so it'll give a little more uh, Kerala feel to it, or a Thai feel to it.
Ah,
So it's very versatile to do it, and you're not doing it on oil. You're actually doing it in an oven. So
mm.
उसको आप बेक कर दीजिए उसको.
It's a
So
very
it's
nice.
healthy. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a very nice baked dish.
it's a very nice baked dish. So just add whatever you want to have. Some pasta, add the boiled penne into it. Uh, अगर आपको उस चावल अलग से नहीं डालने, तो आप थोड़े से ना बॉइल्ड चावल भी उसमें डाल सकते हो. So वो थोड़ा सा आपको अंदर, जब आप उसको when you start eating the dish, you'll have your rice, which is already boiled rice, which is mixed with the chicken and the veggies and that.
The
So I
veggies.
mean, it's a
Mm.
it's a combination, and for people who are short of time, this is brilliant, because आपने क्या किया, सारी चीजें काटी, उसको जल्दी से टॉस किया, हल्का सा,
Mm.
थोड़ा सा उसको हल्का सा कुक करना है, और उसके बाद आपने उसको 30 मिनट के लिए ओवन में डाल दिया. तो अब उसमें आपको you're getting your eggs, you're getting your veggies, you're getting whatever you want into one. It's like a pot puree of
One pot.
everything. One
Mm.
pot puree. So it is quite filling,
Mm.
and you're done for the day. I mean, many times, like when I am on my 24-hour fasting, uh, a meal like this for me is good enough for the next 24 hours. I'm like good to go. I've eaten everything. Right? I've got my little bit of rice. I got a little bit of my pasta coming into it, eggs.
Mm.
If I want to add a little bit of chicken to it, I do that. So I'm
Mm.
done. Totally depends on that day. All my nutrients are in my body.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. I mean,
And
I find that easy because it's easier for me to do it. When I'm short of time, I do this.
uh, and you like something that's very tasty in the sense of,
Yeah,
and filling. Because if you
it
make
is
all
filling.
things, then it becomes a little more. The quantity is
I,
more.
being a gymmer, I cannot see the sight of any more boiled eggs. While boiled eggs are something which are being like boiled anda khao, because if you want to lose weight or you want to be, so how many boiled eggs can you eat? Oh,
Mm.
and omelette, if you're making, even if you have a non-stick, the fact of the matter, the omelette doesn't taste all that great if you don't have a little bit of desi ghee and butter in it.
Hmm.
So this for me is as an alternative in terms of eating egg. So I don't put in. I just put in two to maximum three yolks in there. The rest is all egg white.
Hmm.
Because then the cholesterol level is, because my dad is there, they also eat into that kind of a dish. So I don't want the dish to be extremely heavy on the cholesterol levels because of putting in too much of egg yolk. So I just put in egg yolk enough, which is good enough as a portion for the family.
Yeah.
Add a lot of veggies because my dad prefers a little more veggies. He's become with age. He doesn't, he doesn't like non-veg too much. So if he's eating it, then I'll just put the eggs and I take the chicken out. If the kids are having it, then I put the chicken in.
Hmm.
So it works wonderfully well, and it doesn't give you that eggy taste of people who like it just gets mixed.
Yeah.
And if you want to spice it up, you can add a little bit of Tabasco or you can add all that. So no, once you have that platform of the dish, then you want a little spicy, you add a little bit of chilies to it. You want to make it a little more sweeter. This thing you
Hmm.
can add a little bit of coconut milk to it. Totally depends. But आपका वो base dish तैयार हो जाता है.
Hmm. Superb. And from this only you can make so many other things, adding and subtracting.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if somebody actually doesn't eat eggs, you can still continue to do this with your tomato gravy, add a little bit of coconut, and still do the veggies and everything. आप इसमें अगर अंडा नहीं डाल रहे तो आप इसमें एक बैंगन ले लो.
Hmm.
बैंगन को थोड़ा सा पहले immediately करके put it in the oven, roast it, and then put this, add a little bit of cheese, so you will have. So when you're actually baking in the brinjal actually becomes mushy, so it tastes very different with all the veggies and the chicken. So I tend to do that, and I find it very healthy.
Oh, lovely. Thank you so
So
much.
pleasure, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
I also remember this because when I was studying in New Zealand, we used to do it in the microwave. Just put the
Yeah,
veggies
yeah,
and egg
yeah.
and put it in the microwave. It cooks so fast and it tastes good as well. It's
It
very
tastes very good, ma'am. You're absolutely right, and I find that eggs are actually the most versatile. You can do anything with that.
Hmm.
In case आपको there are times what I do is I'll take oats, I'll उसका powder बना देता हूँ मतलब आटे की तरह, and then
Hmm.
just add some banana, little bit of honey, egg, beat it and put it into the micro. You either get a cookie kind of this thing or you'll get a pancake. अगर आप उसको तवे पे बनाओगे तो वो pancake की तरह बन जाएगा. आप उसको माइक्रोवेव कर दो या ओटीजी में कर दो, it becomes like a uh, souffle kind of a thing, a little runny, a little this thing, and you can eat that. So you have oats also going, you have banana also going in. Put a little bit of vanilla essence. So uh, uh, there are healthy options. I mean, then there are options which obviously you can do pastas also. So you don't have to do a very elaborate. There are many things that can be done, and uh, rather than I'm not saying you should not have Maggie once in a while. You can have Maggie, but then अगर आप 5 मिनट मैगी के लिए करने को तैयार हो तो 5-6 मिनट और 10 मिनट कर लो और फ्रेश खाना बना लो.
Hmm.
जब
Amazing.
5 मिनट किचन में घुसना ही है तो 15 मिनट खड़े होके बेटर है ना कि थोड़ा सा बेटर खाना बना लीजिए. So that is how it is. And as I said, and that all this has had a huge impact on me as a person. I mean, the day I'm not in the best of spirit, I actually prefer to put on my music and go and get into the kitchen, and the mood changes. And when you're eating that food, it goes in. You're happy, and then the whole positive affirmation and manifestation kind of moves it. Your body is absolutely now right for the positivity and the right manifestation to happen. The right food can get you into the right attitude.
Hmm.
yeah, totally agree. Any experience you would like to share, like
Yeah.
the great experience you had or surprising that you never expected, but it happened while you're cooking or something?
Um, I think it took me more than 6 kgs of tomatoes to be totally rogered and a lot of chicken to be rogered before I could actually get my butter chicken right. Sometimes the honey would become too much. और एक बार मैंने वो जो देगी मिर्च की जगह दूसरी वाली मिर्च डाल दी रंग के लिए, तो जब वो बटर चिकन आया तो बटर चिकन कम था, वो मिर्ची वाला चिकन ज्यादा था. So I have gone wrong many a times, and then I had to utilize a lot of my capability to fix that dish. I said अभी फेंक नहीं सकते, या तो मुझे खुद खाना पड़ेगा अकेले, या दूसरे तो मेरे को गालियां निकालेंगे. So many a times a lot that has happened, and एक बार मैं दाल मखनी बना रहा था, तो मैंने बोला चलो आज ना उसमें बनाते हैं, जो क्ले पॉट होता है. अब वो क्ले पॉट में ले आया, बट वो क्ले पॉट ना पहले धो के, और उसकी जो अंदर का नीचे की जो अर्दीनेस है वो मैंने अभी पूरी हटाई नहीं थी. तो जब वो दाल मखनी बन के बाहर आई, तो उसमें दाल मखनी का वो टेस्ट नहीं था, उसमें पूरा ऐसे लग रहा था कि जैसे अर्दन पॉट की पूरी टेस्ट आ गई. इट वाज सो नॉजिएटिंग. तो फिर उसको अगला 1 घंटा मैं कोशिश करता रहा कि कैसे फिक्स करूं. देन आई फाउंड कि इसका बेस्ट तरीका फिक्स करने का ये है कि इसमें मैं लहसन का ना छोंक लगा देता हूँ अच्छी तरह. तो लहसन को ओवर पावर कर देता हूँ थोड़ा सा, तो वो फ्लेवर कटेगा. तो things have been funny at times, and then you're in the kitchen because the family is waiting for that food, and you're also like, ये क्या कर दिया मैंने. So अब गालियां पड़ेगी. And they're really looking forward to eating that food, and you really either rogered it. So it happens at times. It even while I'm used to cooking the same dish, there are going to be days you totally mess it up. So that can be now I find it funny. पहले तो गुस्सा चढ़ जाता था, very frustrating, because आप किचन में लगे हुए हो और इतना सब कर रहे हो और उसके बाद खराब हो जाए, तो it gets very. But now there are quick fixes to it. You find the solution to fix the dish. तो उसमें फिर थोड़ा डिश को चेंज कर देते हैं.
Awesome.
So anything else, ma'am?
Umaji. Oh, there are so many things about food we can ask. So, with the would you suggest any specific food when people are in hurry, and then they can? One is definitely egg dishes, but two, because you are also very conscious of health. So, any specific diet?
No, so you can do that. आप रात को ना मैम क्या करो, हंग कर्ड ले लो. आप दही को मसलिन क्लॉथ में डाल के रख दो रात को. सुबह आपका हंग कर्ड बन गया. आप उसको थोड़ा सा गार्लिक और उसके साथ मेक, रादर देन मेकिंग मेयो एंड ऑल दैट, आप उसमें थोड़ा सा हल्का सा ऑलिव ऑयल डाल के, गार्लिक डाल के, इफ यू लाइक गार्लिक, थोड़ी सी और सीजनिंग डाल के, जस्ट मेक दैट मिक्सचर. You do your प्याज, maybe capsicum, if you're vegetarian, corns, just make a sandwich out of that. With that, it turns out very well. So that's pretty healthy. In case you totally want to avoid, I mean, you can do it in a roti. You can do it like a salad with that dip. So and this is something to very nicely you can carry. You can have it early in the morning, or you can carry it with you in your tiffin. If you like the non-veg part of it, then आप chicken को थोड़ा सा boil करके उसको saute कर लो, and then इस dip के साथ you can make a sandwich. So I don't like eating mayo and all. I prefer doing this, or you can create, make the day that you have at home, you can make a bowl of hummus. That also works out very well as a spread on breads and everything, and you can add your veggies or your non-veg with it. You can. So I generally, what I do on a Sunday is we'll soak out our chanas, and वो सफेद तिल आते हैं उससे tahini sauce बना के mix करके hummus बना दिया. So then when the kids are going, the college and all, so I do that. Then the other part, then the cook does it, the maid does it, or she'll just, put that hummus spread on the bread and make a sandwich for my son, all that, or he can make a chicken roll with it with the hummus sauce. So you're not putting, so this is, so it's also, healthy. And these dips and all are filling in itself because ये चने की हैं इसमें वो है तो अगर आप उसको वैसे ही खा लोगे तो you are taking a lot of calorie. So once you've done that, you put it into the fridge for about 3-4 days, so you can keep eating that. So I do a lot of that. I do a lot of that. And the other part is which I really love is बैंगन लिया और वो जो हम नॉर्मल भरता करते हैं गैस पे उसको किया, then I just keep it covered. उसको खोल नहीं देता so that उसकी जो भाप है उसको थोड़ा सा अर्दी फ्लेवर आ जाए. एंड अनियंस, बहुत सारा गार्लिक और टोमेटो और पार्सले काट के उसको ऑलिव ऑयल का मिक्स करके उसमें सिर्फ वो किया. सो आई डोंट एक्चुअली मेक अप भरता, मैं उसमें तड़का नहीं लगाता. तो आई जस्ट जैसे वो यू डू इट इन द मिडल ईस्ट, सो बाबा गनूश जो बोलते हैं वो. सो आई फाइंड दैट एक्सट्रीमली मोर हेल्दी, क्योंकि नहीं तो फिर वो क्या होता है आप उसको पूरा जब तेल में भुनो, विच इज ऑल्सो देयर, बट आई फाइंड दैट ऑल्सो वेरी वेरी फिलिंग. इट्स वेरी न्यूट्रिएंट. एंड उसका चाहो तो आप सैंडविच बना लो, उसको चाहो तो आप राइस के साथ खा लो. इट वर्क्स वंडरफुली वेल. It paired with the non-veg also, it goes very well. So
you just put the you cut the onion and put it in bangan.
Onions, a lot of you need to put a garlic for that to taste really well. It should be like really garlic. I love the garlic in it. So वो डाल दिया आपने, garlic डाल दिया, नींबू डाल दिया अच्छी तरह. So it becomes like a salad. You can have it like a salad. You can have it with a pita bread. You can have it with roti. You can have it with bread. If you don't want to have it with any of these things, आप वैसे ही खा लो उसको. It just tastes very nice. It tastes very nice. So typically morning breakfast and all, I prefer doing that. And I don't, even if we are indulging in paranthas, I don't like the paranthas getting cooked in oil. So paranthe generally सेकते हैं और ऊपर से बेशक मैं आधा उस गरम परांठे के ऊपर आधा चम्मच देसी घी या बटर लगा लेता हूँ. Because वो क्या हो रहा है, you're not burning the oil. So I always feel the problem is when you burn that oil, that fat, that is when it becomes more toxic. So अगर आपने वो देसी घी लेके थोड़ा जैसे हम कहते हैं ना पंजाबी में चौपड़ लिया ऊपर से, so that आपको परांठे का टेस्ट भी आ रहा, बट आपने ना तवे के ऊपर फ्राई नहीं किया उसको कि भाई तेल डाला और मैं तेल पे सेक रही हूँ या सेक रहा हूँ उसको घी पे या उस पे. आई ट्राई टू अवॉइड दैट कि परांठा सेका और उसके बाद आपने ऊपर से हल्का सा देसी घी डाला, दैट गिव्स यू द फ्लेवर एंड यू आर हैविंग दैट. So while you are having the calorie, but you're having it in a far more better way than actually burning the oil on the heat and having it. So those small things can happen. I mean, obviously the taste of a parantha when the oil is there on the tawa is different to this, but I'm willing to let go a little bit of my taste quotient for a little better, healthier factor at this age. And with the kids also. So वो थोड़े से पुराने स्टाइल के एडजस्टमेंट्स करने चाहिए. और दूसरी चीज फूड में हमारे को ये भी देखना है कि what we eat at 15 is not going to be conducive for us at the age of 50 or 60. The amount of free food, and which I've also mentioned in one of my talks pehle when we're talking about fitness, the food we eat between 15 to 20 and the quantity of food we eat between 15 to 20 or prior to that is not the quantity of food we require once we are in our 40s, 50s or 60s. We need to be unless and until it's a direct, if there's somebody even in his age of 50 who's extremely his or her day-to-day work is extremely laborious and you're burning a lot of calories. So somebody like a rickshaw puller in the age of 50 will require much more calories than a far more sedentary living, middle-aged person. So the calorie intake will have to be very different. The food will have to be very different. For a guy who's actually more laborious, will require more of carbohydrate because he needs that kind of food. But if we're more of office goers, we're more of in a sitting job, then our carbohydrate intake has to be far more lesser. And I'd also mentioned the kind of carbohydrates that you require When you're near the sea, is very different to the carbohydrates you require in a place like Delhi to the carbohydrate requirement when you're in the mountains. Because temperature, altitude, the weather has a huge bearing on the kind of food. So, we can't simply mix and match every food. और उसका भी मैंने उस टाइम पे एक क्लासिक एग्जांपल दिया था दैट you have in Kerala you get tapioca or you get cassava, all these kind of things. So they're very tasty, but it is the right food for that very very murky weather. Because you're perspiring there, it's very humid over there. You lose a lot. आप जब खड़े भी हो गए इतना पसीना आ रहा है, you're actually losing energy. But in Delhi, in the month of March and April, it's not the same weather. So, all of a sudden, if you start eating that kind of food, it's not the kind of food that you want to be eating in this weather. It is something that you can probably have when you get into August or September in Delhi, where it's very humid and you're losing a lot of energy, or you are working out, आपको बहुत पसीना आ रहा है. तो उस टाइम पे जो आप खाना खा रहे हो is going to be very different from what we're eating in the month of February and March. So uh, people have to also realize with the food is with the time of the day, with the seasons, the food has to change. So, the moment I get into the more humid weather, I tend to eat lesser of my non-veg. Then this time of it's easier. Garmiyon ke time, I'm a little more. I want to be more lighter, be a little more on my veggies. So my veggie part goes up, my non-veg factor goes down, and then when the weather is a little different, then my non-veg quotient goes up, the protein, and it also depends upon, for me, how much of training and what kind of training I'm doing in my gym. So if it's very heavy or it's very different intense training, then I take my protein uptake. So in my case, it's a little different, but even people who are not as probably into fitness the way I am, but yes, for women, it is going to be different who are hitting into menopause. So they need to eat, or they need to exercise, or they need to have kind of food which is going to keep their bone density in place. For the older people, you have to be, one has to understand they don't feel that hungry or they don't want to eat so much. So they need to be given a kind of food. They also need to have more proteins, but proteins will also fill you up. So what is the kind of protein? What time of the day they need to be given what? So, we need to give that a little bit of thought. And it's not necessarily to go to a dietitian or nutritionist to understand that. If you're well aware of your own well-being and your own body, and you're aware of yourself, आपको ना जब आप खाना खाते हो आपको खुद ही signals मिल जाते हैं कि ये खाना मेरे को मतलब is it working for me, is it not working for me, ये खाना खाने के बाद मुझे क्या ये feeling हो रही है, ऐसी feeling हो रही है. And then if you're connected with that, then you are able to make the adjustments on your own. And I always say कि अगर आपको भूख लगी है तो मैं ना 80% पे अपने खाना छोड़ देता हूँ. तो मैं अपने पेट को 100% नहीं फुल करता. आई जस्ट मेक श्योर मैं वो थोड़ा सा ना खाने को, अगर मुझे लग रहा है मुझे 2 चपाती खानी है तो या 3 खानी है तो मैं 3 नहीं खाता, मैं 2 पे छोड़ देता हूँ. आई जस्ट लीव दैट गैप in terms of my satisfaction level. Because the moment I go there on the third, I'm just being indulgent. It's my, I don't need that food, that one extra chapati. It's just that that one extra chapati is coming because the taste on the food is very nice. So कि चलो एक और खा लो. तो मैं I have consciously in my life now said नहीं वो चलो एक नहीं खा लो, आपने टेस्ट ले लिया अच्छा था, मन कर रहा है कि इसको थोड़ा सा और खा लेता हूँ, but वो मन को मारना है, because that is where then you go wrong with your food, you go wrong with your diet. So you need to say, okay, done. No more greed over here. It's like going to a casino. You won 1 lakh rupees and you are now like, मैं 1 लाख रुपए जीत गया हूँ तो मैं और खेलता हूँ. नहीं, घर जाओ. 1 लाख रुपए जीत लियो, अब घर चले जाओ, मत खेलो. नहीं तो वो जो 1 लाख है वो भी चले जाएंगे और 1 लाख रुपए और डूब जाएंगे. तो that's my analogy of you're gambling with your food, gambling with your diet, gambling with your health. So don't gamble. स्वाद ले लो और स्वाद के बाद जितनी एनर्जी चाहिए उतनी लो और उस पॉइंट पे स्वाद को पीछे फेंक दो. So that's my take, Chawla ji.
Awesome. And Harmit, as much as you are foodie, you are also very good in, fasting.
Yeah.
So tell us about that, like the water fasting that you do, and how how we can
So
also inculcate that in our lifestyle.
see, fasting is somebody everybody can inculcate. I'm not going to say inculcated the way I've done it because it's taken me 5, 6 years to reach here where I can go 80, 90, 100 days fasting nearly 22, 20, 24, 25 hours and just be on water and then eat one meal. Uh, Depending on which stage of life you are in, what is your health, because if you're a diabetic patient, uh, you need to look at your insulin levels, you need to look at your your this thing. So uh, you need to slowly inculcate the, especially with patients who are diabetic, you need to see whether it's helping you slowly. Ekdam nahi. Go to your doctor, see, check your sugar levels. If the sugar levels are, because I have found with my though I, touch wood, I don't have any problems on health issues, but over the last couple of years where I've started fasting, uh, I've realized that my resting heart rate or my normal heart rate has actually gotten down lower, which is a good thing because it shows that, I'm not under stress. My heart is not pumping more blood than it should. Uh, so I can't explain that scientifically. Something is right, because I feel energetic. I'm not lethargic. Uh, so it's worked out very wonderfully well for me. But I would still say that people beyond a certain age, from the point of both spiritual outlook and the fact that they can shut their system for 24 hours once at least a week, where they're on water, uh, is a huge, huge benefit not only to health because the body also needs rest. Uh, so you just shut the system, allow it to relax, and uh, doing that requires a lot of willpower. So what you're also doing is you're also going deep inside yourself to bring that willpower out, that capability out to endure the 24 hours. And the problem is a lot of people while they are in fasting will actually be always be thinking, oh, मेरे को 20 घंटे हो गए खाना नहीं खाया. So you're actually putting more pressure. So you need to reach a stage where you're very comfortable with it. You're like, I'm good. Not actually put stress on, but enjoy that fasting process. And when you get out to eat, you will actually realize what it has also done for me is with the amount of fasting that I've done. And it's every time I fast every day, it's not easy. So uh, while mentally it's become easy that I can fast 24 hours, but I'm also working out. I'm also working. So I am, you know, using up a lot of calories. You are hungry. It has made me more respectful about my food. It's made me more respectful about the food on my plate. It's made me more respectful about the quantity I take on my plate because it's made me respectful about the fact that people who do not have food, and then we hear about people who don't get to eat for days and days together. Uh, it it really sends a chill down the spine because fasting, when I fast for 24 hours and I am hungry and I'm like really hungry and I worked out. Imagine if I don't get to see food for another 48 hours. I've not had food for 24 hours and I don't get to see food for 48 hours or maybe another 72 hours. It has made me more conscious of the suffering of people कि जिनके पास खाना नहीं है. तो मैं अपने खाने को लेके और सिर्फ खाने को नहीं लेके मेरे पास जिंदगी में जो भी चीज है मैं उस चीज के बारे में बहुत रिस्पेक्टफुल हो चुका हूँ बिकॉज जब नहीं होता तो so the fasting is not only helped me beneficially, it's changed my mindset towards life. uh, it just also brings a huge amount of qualitative power, both willpower, both that astuteness, that discipline about the way you need to live life. Being makes you very focused because uh, जब आप इतनी फास्टिंग कर लेते हो ना तो आपको बहुत फोकस चाहिए टू सर्वाइव दैट डे, टू सर्वाइव एवरी आवर. After 18 hours, it becomes very difficult. And once I've crossed 24 hours, there are days I've taken it to 36 hours. So the remaining 10, 12 hours that I need to take out are, I require a lot of focus. And the way to focus that is I start looking at my work, I look at other things. तो मुझे पता नहीं चलता टाइम कैसे निकल गया. सो मैं अगर बैठ के सारा दिन खाने के बारे में सोचता रहूंगा फिर तो बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी. सो द डे आई एम रियली फास्टिंग आई मेड श्योर आई एम नॉट होम, बिकॉज मुझे पता मैं घर पे होऊंगा या मैं कहीं ऐसे एनवायरनमेंट होऊंगा विच इज कंफर्टिंग. I will think about food. So I get very, very busy the day I'm fasting and I'm out to work and I'm involved with people because time निकलता जा रहा है. And you don't even realize कि कब 18-20 घंटे निकल गए. तो बाकी 6-7 घंटे आप सो गए तो बाकी time you're actually busy. But I would really sincerely advise people that at least एक दिन आप शुरू करो fasting करना. और अगर आप वो कर सकते हो एंड योर मेडिकल पैरामीटर्स आर नॉट गोइंग हेवायर, ट्राई अनदर डे, slowly take it up, ramp it up if you can do it. It's really going to be helpful. And I saw it, and I told you I saw it from my own grandmother who I think lived that kind of life for a good 50-60 years, and she went on to live beyond 100. So though I'm not somebody who says कि मुझे 100 साल जीना है, बट मेरा फंडा है कि जितने साल भी जीना है वो बड़े मतलब भगवान की कृपा है. अगर आपकी हेल्थ ठीक रहे और ठीक है तो आई थिंक उससे बड़ा तो कोई ब्लेसिंग ही नहीं है. बिकॉज आई हैव सीन मेनी पीपल एंड वी ऑल नो, you know, you can have wealth, you can have cars, you can have businesses, but if you don't have health, it's actually just meaningless. It holds no value, because everything has only value as long as you're alive, you're living this life. If you're not living this life and you're not alive, then everything is of no value. So end of the day, intrinsically everything boils down to we taking care of ourselves, we being accountable for our own life, for our own mental and physical well-being. We cannot leave our mental and physical well-being on to anyone else in life. It's totally in our hand. So to even find solutions to our own mental well-being and physical well-being from somebody else, for me, is a little, I find it difficult to, we can have guides, we can have people who can put us in the right direction, but the journey needs to be ours. For us to find answers from somebody else to our own life is something I don't propagate. I always say that the solutions to everything lie within yourself. So you need to connect internally to find the solutions. Yes, Umaji, you have a question.
What do you have to say about microwave? Because you mentioned microwave, and microwaves all over the world are now being not considered good for our health. I only, to be honest, I only warm my water in the microwave. I use the OTG, which is not a microwave kind of a thing. थोड़ा, और मेरे पास ना वो गैस वाला भी अवन है, तो वो गैस पे लगा देता हूँ मैं, तो मैं उसको भी यूज करता हूँ. तो माइक्रोवेव में ना मेरा सिर्फ, मतलब मेरे लिए सिर्फ पानी गर्म होता है. अब मेरे घर में उसमें खाना नहीं बनता. खाना गर्म कर सकते हैं. I mean, normally a lot of people, I mean, you do heat up.
We do heat up, but then in our and you're right. I mean, it's a very controversial topic. It's been being used now. I'll find it very difficult to answer from a very scientific level, but I can only say for myself, मेरे घर में जो माइक्रोवेव पड़ा हुआ है उसमें सिर्फ पानी गर्म होता है, या बहुत कभी हो गया कि चाय गर्म करनी है. सो my dad loves tea. तो वो ना चाय को कभी भी कप में नहीं गर्म करते. तो वो अगर ठंडी हो जाती है तो चाय वो फिर वो गैस ऑन करेंगे पुराने स्टाइल में ही, वो चाय वो उसी पे गैस पे ही गर्म होती है. तो अब मैं उनको कितनी बार बोला कि चाय एक बार जब बन गई है उसको बार बार गर्म करोगे तो इट बिकम्स लिटिल मोर पॉइजनस. बट वो थोड़ा सा बुजुर्ग हैं तो उनको समझाना मुश्किल है. तो जो उन्होंने करना है वो करना है. आई हैव टू गिव हिम दैट लीवरेज टू डू. तो मेरे लिए थोड़ा मुश्किल है माइक्रोवेव बोलना, बिकॉज मेरे घर में माइक्रोवेव में एक्चुअली खाना बनता नहीं है. और हम बाय एंड लार्ज ताजा ही खाते हैं. तो रोटियां अगर बन रही हैं तो बनी रही, वो पड़ी नहीं हुई होती. और अगर कुछ फ्रिज में रह गया खाने को तो देन वी एक्चुअली रीहीट इट ऑन द गैस.
स्लोली, मतलब स्लो उस पर रीहीट करते हैं. We generally don't put it into the microwave. And I have not consciously done that in the microwave, not because from the perspective that you asked. I've not really thought कि microwave में वो microwave की waves आ रही हैं and it's harmful. I think it's just the nature. We've actually been warming up our food on the gas fresh again. So just to kill that, if there is any bacteria there, हम उसको वापस कढ़ाई में डाल के ना खाना गर्म करते हैं. तो but
Yeah,
what you are
and
saying,
the utensils these days, of course, everybody's disregarding aluminium.
yeah.
But the people who cook, the helpers in the house, they are only comfortable with aluminium because they feel कि इसमें जलेगा नहीं. और
जलेगा नहीं, वो
जलेगा.
थोड़ा साफ करना जल्दी हो जाता है. तो मैंने जैसे कहा कि मैंने क्या किया, मैंने ना वो क्ले पॉट्स भी लिए हुए हैं घर पे. नॉट द फैंसी वन जो आपको सड़क पे साइड पे नहीं मिल जाते, जो दिए वाले,
हाँ,
तो उनसे बनवा लिया. तो उसमें भी बना लेते हैं. और मेरे ग्रैंडमदर के टाइम की वो पुरानी कढ़ाइयाँ पड़ी हुई हैं अभी भी घर में, तो हम उसको भी इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं. तो मुझे याद नहीं है, डिस्पाइट वी बीइंग रीजनेबली वेल ऑफ इन लाइफ, हमने जाके, मेरे को याद नहीं, मैंने और मेरी वाइफ ने या किसी ने घर पे जाके अभी कोई ज्यादा यूटेंसिल्स खरीदे होंगे. तो जो यूटेंसिल्स आते हैं वो क्रॉकरी ही आती है. बट वो पुराने, मेरे पास अभी भी बर्तन पड़े हुए हैं जो आई थिंक 40 साल पुराने कढ़ाइयाँ पड़ी हुई हैं, और वो कढ़ाइयाँ आज की डेट में मिलती भी नहीं है. सो दे डू टेक अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम, बिकॉज वो ना मोटी होती हैं आयरन उसकी. तो बट उसमें खाना, मतलब यही है कि गैस ज्यादा यूज हो रही है.
iron vessels.
नहीं नहीं, जो पुरानी मैम कढ़ाइयाँ आती थी ना, जो आपकी मोटी वाली, कॉपर की होती है, किसकी होती है?
अच्छा,
तो वो मोटी कढ़ाइयों में खाना बनता है.
एक कली कराते होते थे अंदर.
हाँ, मतलब मेरे को टेक्निकली नहीं मालूम उतना, बट हाँ वो जो अभी नई वाली आती हैं, जो क्या कहते हैं, तो तवा भी वो पुराने टाइप वाला ही है हमारे पास, नॉट दी नॉन स्टिक वाला जिसपे रोटियां बनती हैं. तो we still using a lot of the utensils which are old fashioned.
Wonderful. You should hold a
Yeah.
session in your house for us.
You'll be more than happy to have you over. I will cook you a good meal.
Where do you stay, Sarita Vihar? You
I stay in
mentioned.
Saraswati. Yeah.
Yeah, because you seem to have an answer to a lot of things for women. Thank you.
No, I'm doing it, and I'm able. I don't know whether I have the answer to the women or not. It's just that I am doing it, and I'm doing. My wife is a doctor, so she leaves at 6:30 in the morning. She comes back at 7 in the evening. So for her, getting into the kitchen is as good as a no. And the fact is, on the matter is, I'm willing to go on record where I'm a better cook than her. So I rather have her eat out of my hand than me eating out of her. She's a decent cook, but I can safely say I'm a far better cook. So
You're innovative and she's blessed.
yeah. So
Ah,
that's about it.
no, because I would not have to cook.
Yeah. So anything beyond this statement would be a little controversial in my married life. So that kind of works. But yeah, I feel, I hear a lot of women saying, "But want to get into the kitchen." Don't take it as a gender thing. Take it as your well-being. Get into the kitchen, cook. Nobody has to do everything. You don't have to do elaborate stuff.
You
But
have to
there is,
enjoy it. If you don't
you
enjoy
gotta
it,
enjoy. You gotta enjoy.
that's
Problem क्या है ना, वो with last couple of years, पेरेंट्स ने भी शुरू कर दिया, बच्चे भी अपना, नहीं जी मैं पैदा थोड़ा ना हुआ हूँ खाना बनाने के लिए, मैं पैदा थोड़ा ना हुआ हूँ कि किचन में जाना है. ये उसको पेट्रियार्की से भी जोड़ दिया, उसको फेमिनिस्ट मूवमेंट से भी जोड़ दिया. अरे भाई, किचन आपका, खाना आपका, पेट आपका, शरीर आपका. चलो अब आप बोलो जी मेरी शादी हो गई तो मैं दूसरे घर में जाकर खाना नहीं बनाऊंगी, वो अलग टॉपिक है. तो आप अगर नहीं बनाओगे, या वो नहीं बनाएंगे, या वो नहीं करेंगे, तो फिर आप अपने अंदर जो कचरा ठूसोगे, तो वो बाद में आप हॉस्पिटल भी आप ही बैठे होगे, आपके बच्चे बैठे होंगे, वही लाइफस्टाइल फिर बच्चे भी जी रहे हैं. तो आप अपने आप को तो खराब कर रहे हो, आपकी जो अगली पीढ़ी है वो भी बर्बाद हो रही है। तो हर चीज अगर हम सोसाइटी में वो अलग अलग पॉइंट्स पे ले लें, पेट्रियार्कल सोसाइटी बोल लें, फेमिनिस्ट, और इन इन बातों के ऊपर चले जाएं और उस पे अपने ही खाने को मार दें, तो एंड ऑफ द डे हम कर क्या रहे हैं? हम अपने आप को ही मार रहे हैं। तो कहीं ना कहीं फैमिलीज को मतलब बैठ के खुद ही सोचना है इस चीज के बारे में कि हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस का प्रीमियम ज्यादा देना है कि हॉस्पिटल का पैसा देना है, कि लिटिल बिट ऑफ पेन टू गेट इनटू द किचन एंड कुक ऑन योर ओन। So while I have a maid, I prefer her to do the cutting, the chopping. But if I am home on time and I am in the morning, then I would drive the methodology of the dish and the food, or my father
What
would do it.
preferences health-wise you think which should be avoided? Food, some like dals, they say, can be heavy, or some people don't think rajma is very good.
No, so I am also of the opinion, because, and I have two factors in that, because the problem is I just don't know the level of adulteration that's coming in dals and rajma, because ये पहले नहीं होता था कि आप दाल राजमा खा रहे हो और आपको ना you are getting a lot of bloating and you're very uncomfortable, and so I get my rajma from the Pahad near Dehradun. When we eat that, uh, we're reasonably comfortable. But yes, I've realized as I'm aging now and I'm touching 50, I find it far more difficult to eat pulses. I'm not comfortable. I'd rather be eating vegetables and my non-veg than eating pulses. I find it very difficult now to eat pulses. Uh, it's
I
just not
think
comforting.
digestion, it also is very hard to digest. Maybe
It's very hard to do.
the kind of agriculture system that has been adapted recently.
Absolutely.
And also, like I was reading that because all this hybrid business of wheat
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
is not the same wheat that your mother or the grandmother ate. It is,
Absolutely.
and I was listening to this, that the whole wheat um, is bad for you. Is bad
No,
because
it's a sham, ma'am.
raises your sugar
Yeah.
levels.
Yeah.
That's even
Absolutely.
worse than white bread. I
Yeah.
mean, it's quite a eye opener.
So, in my house,
Only, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
yeah,
Only because the way it has been cultivated
yes.
in the
So
last
that's what I'm saying. Partially is our own constituency when we grow older, how things are. And I have a feeling the fact that we're not able to consume these pulses is because of the way it's being uh, cultivated, and it's just not going well with our body. And in my house, I don't eat roti at all. मैंने रोटी बिल्कुल बंद कर दिया, फाइंड इट वेरी डिफिकल्ट। सो मैं चावल खाता हूँ, बट मेरे चावल भी यहाँ दिल्ली से नहीं ले रहा, मैं चावल ना सीधा पहाड़ों से, गांव से लेके आ रहा हूँ, विच इज अनपॉलिश्ड एंड वो वेरी गुड क्वालिटी बासमती, एंड आई हैव दैट, एंड अच्छी तरह उसको भिगो के बॉईल करके I prefer eating the rice than to the roti. And though I prefer eating roti, but the point is I am absolutely not comfortable with the quality of atta which is coming in. So I am at least very clear about the rice that I'm buying, and I'm not buying it from Delhi. So I'm buying it straight from the village, getting it packed in the katta and bring it back to Delhi.
तो हम
तो
क्या
मुझे
करें?
उस
हम तो नहीं जा सकते लाने के लिए।
मैं I'll send Shabana ji, because there is the person from where I buy the rice over there, so it's pretty good. I'll give you this thing, and if there is a mechanism for them to deliver anywhere in India a certain amount, I'll be more than happy to see if that can be done.
It'd be lovely.
Yeah, I mean that's only the rice part, but and point in cases हमने राजमा यहाँ दिल्ली से लिए, तो मेरे को लगता है आई थिंक भिगोने के बाद 8 सीटियां मारनी पड़ी थी उनको, 8 से 9। और जो मैं देहरादून से पहाड़ों से राजमा लाया था, वो मेरे ख्याल 2 सीटी के अंदर ही बिल्कुल पक गए।
तो
Amazing.
वो भी वो
Rajma.
बहुत फर्क है. एंड दे वर नॉट एज हैवी. बट यस, अब राजमा आप रात को तो खा नहीं सकते, अब आप दोपहर को खा लीजिए. एंड अब ये भी नहीं कि इतना भर के खा लो. वही मैंने कहा ना, वहां पर वो फैक्टर आया था कि अगर आप 20 साल के हो तो यू कैन कंज्यूम अ लिटिल मोर. वंस यू आर लिटिल ओल्डर देन यू हैव टू टेल योरसेल्फ कि आधा आधा कटोरी राजमा भी मेरे लिए बहुत है. यू कांट हैव द लग्जरी ऑफ ईटिंग अ लॉट ऑफ राजमा. So that also one has to be very, you know, careful. 20 years back, I could have consumed so much of non-veg. Now if I have to eat chicken, I eat one piece of chicken. Maybe 20 years back, I would have eaten 3 pieces, 4 pieces. I can't consume. Even though I work out a lot, I am very fit. But my body, like I'm one piece of chicken, I'm like, beyond that, I can't eat. So one, because of my regime, my fasting. The other is I just don't feel like eating that much. I don't want to eat that much. I'm good.
So when you're fasting, can you eat fruits or you just don't?
No. Nothing. No. My factory is totally shut. There is not even one kaju, one kishmish going into the body. It's just water. Fasting means fasting.
Not even lemon water.
I drink ginger lemon water once in the morning and once in the evening, lukewarm. Rest of the day is just normal water, lukewarm water.
तो आप रात को भिगोते हो उसको?
मैं रात को जिंजर थोड़ा सा वो भिगो के ना, फिर सुबह उसको फिर थोड़ा सा सुबह हल्का सा और जिंजर डाल के पानी को बॉईल करवा देता हूँ. एंड देन आई पुट लेमन इनटू इट.
Okay.
So I don't put honey into it. I just drink that.
So
I mean,
no
it's
sugar? You're not, are you eating any desserts or mithai or something or no?
Yeah. I work out a lot. As I said, I work out a lot. But then मिठाई का मतलब फिर ये नहीं है कि जैसे कल ही मैंने कुल्फी खाई तो एक कुल्फी खा ली, वो इतनी स्वाद थी कि दूसरे का मन था, फिर मैंने अपने आप को दो अंदर से गालियां निकाली कि सोचना भी नहीं, दूसरे का एक खा लिया, स्वाद ले लिया, हो गया. So that's okay. I mean, if I'm going to eat kulfi or ice cream every day, there is a problem. But every Sunday afternoon, one small portion of an ice cream or this thing is not bad. I'm not diabetic. So as long as you're not diabetic and you are, as I said, you are physically very active, you are maintaining your parameters very well, there is no harm. I mean, I don't drink tea. If संडे को मेरा मन कर जाता है चाय पीने को, चाय भी अच्छी बनाता हूँ मैं, तो मैं उसमें वो छोटा सा टीस्पून थोड़ा सा चीनी डाल लेता हूँ स्वाद के लिए. तो दैट्स नॉट गोइंग टू बी हार्मफुल टू मी.
You don't drink tea otherwise?
No, I prefer to have coffee. Because then again, with the tea, the thing is, tea is also addictive. अगर आप मसाला चाय पी लो, फिर एक नहीं होता आदमी ना जाके फिर 3-4 कप दिन के पी लेता है. Now that becomes detrimental. Because every time you're having one cup of tea, it's a good 100 or close to 100 calories you're having. Now, for me, to just burn that tea out is a good 40 minutes on the treadmill. इतना भी मैं अपने आप को जिंदगी में मारने को तैयार नहीं हूँ कि एक कप चाय उतारने के लिए फिर मेरे को 40 मिनट भागना पड़े. So while I go to the gym, I've been regular to the gym since 1992. That's nearly 32 years. But if you ask me, I would, it's a practice that I have to go to work out. But if you ask me कि अंदर से कोई इतनी कोई खुशी मिलती है कि जाके वजन उठाना है, नहीं. It is painful, it is tiring. बदन दर्द करता है पूरा, but it's the commitment to my own health. So I do it. And if I do it, if I'm doing it, I'll do it to the best of my ability. So there is no half-hearted measures in it.
Wow.
So you can be indulgent. There is no harm eating a little bit of everything. But it's just not that it should not be going overboard, and it should not be, the frequency needs to be seen in.
And then there are certain sweets you can be indulgent in, and there are certain sweets you don't want to be indulgent in. वो बिल्कुल ही चीनी है, तो वो फिर मैं अवॉइड करता हूँ.
Which is the best sweet to eat? Like for the people who have sweet tooth.
मेरे हिसाब से मैम, I always I think eating a firni or a kheer, or the if you're not really gone really mad in terms of making your gajar ka halwa, is not bad. Then any kind of cake which is just the sponge and the cream is better. वो उसमें fondue और वो डाल देते हैं आजकल बहुत सारी icing. So अगर आप दिल्ली से वाकिफ हैं तो I prefer to eat a Wenger's का cake rather than the new age cakes जो उसमें पूरा उन्होंने food coloring, fondue ये वो डाला होता है, and that's just a little unnerving for me. So I prefer the old fashioned pastry जो होती थी ना, कि स्पॉन्ज है और क्रीम है और ऊपर एक स्ट्रॉबेरी डली हुई है या पाइनएप्पल डला हुआ है, which is I think is far more. शुगर उसमें भी है, शुगर उसमें शुगर बहुत ज्यादा है, ये फिर थोड़ा सा. So I like the Wenger's का cake. I mean it's once in a while being indulgent in a small pastry is okay. But उसमें भी क्या होता है, if I know on a Sunday I am going to be little indulgent, I make it up by eating a little less on Saturday and Sunday, on Monday. So if I'm going to eat another 1,000 calories on Sunday, which I normally don't, I make sure I've eaten 500 calories less on Saturday and I'm eating another 500 to another 1,000 calories less on Monday. So I do that.
Awesome.
I mean, अब मेरे को पता है जैसे मुझे 1 महीने बाद ना शादी पे जाना है, तो शादी पे जाने से 15 दिन पहले मैं अपनी डाइट को बहुत कंट्रोल करके रखूंगा, and I'm going to create a calorie deficit. So when I go for that wedding, I would have actually dropped 2 kilos. So that even if I am a little indulgent, which I know I'll not go overboard, but even if I'm a little indulgent, I'm like, okay, I'm in the right zone.
Wow. I think that's a good strategy.
Yeah, it works for me. If I know I'm going there, मैं अपने को मार नहीं रहा. मैं सिर्फ ये कह रहा हूँ कि जो मैं खाना खा रहा था थोड़ा सा कम खा रहा हूँ, हर रोज थोड़ा कम खा रहा हूँ, तो कैलोरी डेफिसिट है. तो जहां मैं आधा घंटा मान लो वर्जिश करता था, तो मैंने उसको 40-45 मिनट कर दिया. थोड़ा कम खाया, थोड़ी एक्सरसाइज ज्यादा कर दी, तो कैलोरी डेफिसिट बढ़ गई. मैं मार नहीं रहा अपने आप को, मैं डाइटिंग नहीं कर रहा.
So we are already 9:20. So I think it's a very good topic, and we can talk for very long hours. So
no, anything. It's a pleasure, and the interaction is always helpful. I think it kind of gets everyone going. Yeah. I just hate being into a monologue. कि मैं बोले जा रहा हूँ और कोई सुन रहा है, and I'm like, okay. It's always good to have a dialogue because then the interest levels are more.
Yeah.
So thank you, Umaji. Thank you everyone else who had the interaction. Thank you, Shubhana ji, once again.
It's a pleasure listening to you, and
pleasure.
Inspired. And
I appreciate
water fasting. I mean, it's a very ambitious thing. One should try at least.
Try for 15 hours, then take it up slowly 1 hour every day, every time you do it. Make those goals more manageable for you. So you don't need to go for straight 24 hours. If you can pull in the 14, 15 hours first, once you've done that, you said, okay, I could do it. Then say, okay, I'm going to push another 2 hours, then another 2 hours, and see the difference.
You have the alkaline water. People put ginger and cucumber at night and soak, and then have it in the morning. Alkaline water, it becomes, I think.
It does. So I do that with the ginger. I don't do putting cucumber. I don't see. I also believe, Umaji, that one needs to do those things which are doable. अब मेरे को बिजनेस भी चलाना है, मैंने बाकी चीजें भी देखनी है, फिटनेस भी देखनी है, मेरे पास उतना ही, मैं उतना भी कॉम्प्लिकेट नहीं कर सकता अपने लाइफ को. तो मैं जितना कर रहा हूँ, which is so what I do when I speak to a lot of friends, they are like, this is too much. So I know that's too much, but then I find time for it because I don't party. I don't go to. I have time because I spend more time with myself. I'm not very social. unless I need to be really, really social. So I have more time for myself and my family. So that's my priority.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure, ma'am. Pleasure. Thank you, Shivanaji. Thank you once again for having me over.
Thank you so much, Harmit. It was a wonderful session. Maybe we can have more session on food.
Absolutely, anytime.
And
Anytime.
we can
More
learn.
session on guiding us regarding our health.
Yes.
No, it's something I would love to. I mean, one should always.
Yeah, and we should know where you're getting those basmati original
I will.
rice.